Okay, good morning, everyone. Hope you guys had a wonderful day yesterday. We got a bunch of trades yesterday, and they're doing very well. Okay, so we're totally set up for today's move here. So a couple of things I want to go over first. Okay, so one thing is, why am I bullish? First question. Okay, so the reason why is simply because of hitting this inflection point right over here. Okay. So we're doing the market sentiment report a little bit differently. I didn't really give this weekly levels only because I didn't want to confuse anyone when we give these levels to everyone, and then you guys don't really know exactly, because these weekly levels can be confused with the daily levels, right? So pretty much trying to avoid that at all costs. Okay, but a lot of people are want to understand, because not a lot of you guys watch premiums, so that's why I'm trying to align these. Okay, sometimes what you may find is that we may not hit the level, but we may hit the premium on these specific things that we have here. Okay, so our estimated range that we have basically on this 5530 call, right, which we're analyzing. Okay, so this here basically hit this inflection point and then dropped right off that key number there. Okay, so very intriguing to see that. Now, one thing here is that if we don't see this level 2 bullish premium hit, meaning that if with this 5530 call doesn't hit 17, most likely we may not see a trending market going forward. Okay, even if it returns back to 17 here, that's pretty meaningless. So that means that SPX has got to do a big recovery in order to get there. Okay, most likely it should have to hit around 5500 or 5509 in order for us to see a following trend happen there. It's very possible it can hit this and then dive right back down to 54.89. As long as it hits that, that should be fine into tomorrow's detail here. Okay. For today's levels that we given, 54.61 on the daily level is going to be your level 1, and 54.56. Okay. This blue shade that you see here, that's the neutral range. Okay. So if you guys are looking in my gamma report that I gave right over here, so this gamma report pretty much tells you when we're bullish, when we're bearish, and key things that are happening in the market. Okay, so I mentioned here specifically when the market is basically above 54.60, that's where you see SPX futures struggling to get right now. That's when the market is going to be a straight on bull move. Okay, and this neutral zone is pretty much when the gamma is both is neutral, meaning it's zero. Okay, it could be bull or bear, but when you get below this this 54.40 mark, which is held by a strong support, level 1 bearish on the right over here, that pretty much tells you that we're trending on the downside. Okay, so we're bearish around under 54.40, and that's when the market looks very weak. Okay, when you are in this bearish zone here, you have to look at your heat map in great detail here. Okay, so this is my heat map. I'm looking at to see what's bearish in this market and what's the reason for it. Okay, if financials are down and techs are somewhat holding, and we're pretty much at around 54.40, it's very possible that the market can still hold. Now, if the financials, everything here, healthcare and even techs are weak with semiconductors as well, then you know that the market is weak. And if you're considering if you're in the bearish zone, then pretty much you know how to play SPX when you get there. Okay, similar detail with regards to the bullish side as well. Okay, you want to see what the main movers are. Okay, and right now for today, what you see is that the key stocks that are moving the market is the semiconductors, which were sold off yesterday. Okay, and they're moving the market right now. Okay, now a couple of things here. Okay, Nvidia. So Nvidia is moving pre-market here. Okay, up 3%. So I mentioned yesterday that I like the calls, the the 130 calls at 50 cents. Its low of the day was literally 55 cents. Okay, so we jumped in near the low of the day at around 67 cents, which isn't a bad entry. Which isn't a bad entry on the play here, but I knew going in that our estimated weekly bottom 118 was a massive support. That's literally 4 cents off from our estimated bottom. So this was our perfect entry to get into Nvidia here, and now you can see that is around 121, up 3% off that. Okay, now if Nvidia gets through 123, it has a huge level at around 124 as well, which is a 200-day retest. Okay, if it gets through this, 126 is going to be the top of the chop range, and it's very possible it can get to 130 as well. Okay, we got these for 50 cents, and if you guys look at the 130 call, they have the opportunity to go to 10 bucks, but the huge level is at 5. So I have 30 contracts. Most likely what I'll do is I will sell 20 at around 5 and keep the rest as runners. Okay, so that's 1,000% play that we have an opportunity on Nvidia, and we only put under 2 grand on there. Okay, so if it's 1,000%, that's 20 grand. We're gonna definitely take that and hold it long. Okay, because not only did we catch the bottom here, but they have an investor event on Wednesday, and if that investor event is bullish, you can pretty much see that this stock really returned to the highs here. Okay, because Nvidia premiums were insane, and we detected that early on. Okay, for the small accounts, I also gave Dell calls. Okay, so this is an alternative to SMCI here. So if you took those Dell calls because you wanted to play SMCI, the small account plays are ones denoted by the bulb for everyone that is new, and basically they're archived in here, but I also posted in there. Okay, so we basically gave the Dell 145 calls that was at 1.3 yesterday here. So let me just put this up because I don't have this on this system here. So at 1.3, they close around 90 cents. Okay, so it's very possible that these can potentially hit $5 if it really runs here. Okay, but it has a strong resistance at around $3. So just keep that in mind. So this play looks very promising as well if you decide to hold that. Okay, especially if it gets through to 145, which will be a hard point. But if it gets through there, you can get 5. If it happens near end of the week, when it gets 150. Okay, so watch to see that. But it all comes down to Nvidia news, and I'm pretty sure that they're gonna rip it on the investor meeting because they really jacked the premiums. I mean, I was talking about Nvidia that the 140 call was 50 cents, and I wouldn't even want to pay that much, right? And that's why it really tanked. Nvidia didn't tank because there's massive sellers. It tanked because the premiums were too expensive. So that's a big difference, right? To keep in mind. Now, Apple here was a nice trade that we did yesterday as well. I pretty much don't want to play this because now the key things that are really moving the market is Nvidia and semiconductors. Apple is good when, let's just say, the market is moving off banks and financials, right? It's a safe haven stock, especially when semiconductors look weak. Okay, coin puts. Okay, so we didn't want to jump into this because this was our we didn't do analysis on this week, but the same levels apply. So I don't really change it if it doesn't really need to, right? But so 207 was a strong support. I don't want to get into this until because I even mentioned that I like the 205 puts at 50 cents, and it never went there. Okay, so totally out of this play, and it's good for us that we are. I'm not looking at coin right now because Bitcoin seems like it's at a strong support and it's recovering. Calls may actually work on coin as well, but I would say if you do want to play coin, add a week Okay, and that may work. We're going to be looking into that. So we're going to be watching the coin July 5th calls, the 220 calls at around $4 yesterday. So the 230 calls were under $2. That may be a good lotto as a potential swing. So we're going to be keeping that on deck here. Okay. So let's keep an eye on that. Sorry, I was looking at the wrong one. Okay. So July 5th, my apologies. 230s closed at 4. Okay, so let's see if we could get it at a cheaper price. And the low of the day on those were at 3 as well. Okay. So I'm going to be watching the 230 calls carefully to see if Bitcoin starts to move off that. Okay. Now Tesla. Okay. So Tesla, our first trade, which didn't go so well, but it's starting to scream now. Okay. The reason why it's popping huge doesn't have to do with the strength in the Nasdaq sector, but it has to do with what Morgan Stanley said. So Morgan Stanley is said something really bullish about the stock. He said basically the future of the U.S. electric grid depends on Tesla. Okay, so that's massive. All right, that's basically telling you that Tesla is going to be in the energy space, and that this has a potential where if it does hit 189, it can really rock it here. Okay, because if it breaks through 189, based on our chart from last week, this is an old chart. This 189 is explosive, and it could possibly see 200 even with semiconductors. So it got news today. Definitely watch out for this. Okay, but Nvidia overall is up 3%. If you guys took those 130 calls with me, most likely you should be getting 1.5 right at the open here, between 1 to 1.5, so near a double because the Nvidia premiums are insane. But I'm holding this, guys, diamonds hands on these. If you have a small account, recommend you take profits whenever you're happy. Okay, a couple of things here as well. Let's go on through SMCI. SMCI pretty much didn't hit our estimated weekly low, so it may chop around here. But if Nvidia is good, it may get through 870 and pop there. Okay, SMCI needs to hit above 900 in order for the 1,000 call that we have to really rip here. Okay, because this was a roll-on play with profits since last week, and they pretty much went down 80% on the roll-up that we added an extra week. And we only had 5 contracts, but I added another 5 contracts at around $3, and now we have an average at 8. Okay, so if I get back those calls back up, I may really decide to sell this soon, especially if it gets above 900 here. Okay, I added ARM equity only because the CEO is really bullish on the stock. It doesn't seem like SoftBank really wants to sell this stock, so it has huge potential to retest all-time highs again. And I think 200 is probably going to be coming on this stock in the near future. Okay, so definitely stay tuned for that. So let's recap a little bit of stuff here. Okay, if you guys are bullish on semiconductors, Dell is good for small accounts, especially if you want to play SMCI, and if that's moving. Nvidia is also good for small accounts as well. Avoid Apple right now. It can definitely go green, but there's going to be better plays and better ways to focus your capital. Tesla has news with Morgan Stanley, but Tesla, one thing about Tesla, it's a hard play. Okay, I wouldn't recommend this for small accounts because every time it goes up, it just gives it back, right? So if it breaks through 189, it can go to 200. That's why I call it a lotto. So always make sure when I give a trade, you guys are paying attention to the type of trade I'm giving. SMCI, you need at least, I would say, 10 to 20 grand account to even consider playing that moving forward. And Broadcom, Broadcom's a little bit hard play here, but it was 10 points off from my estimated weekly low. So it may pop. Let's see if that starts to hold here, okay? And we're going to be watching that as well. ASML also popping off my estimated weekly low at around 1,000 and a lot of here. So If this is the bottom on semiconductors, guys, because you can see that a lot of the stocks are hitting our bottoms, we can really see a massive rally in semiconductors. So just stay tuned for that and keep an eye on it. But I do also want to look for I like ASML more than LRCX actually, only because you know LRCX has a chop range here, and the neutral range is over here. So it's possible that we could see a recovery on ASML to 1050. Okay, one final thing I want to talk about. There's consumer confidence numbers at 10 a.m. So just be cautious of that. We might see a slip up or whatnot around that key zone here. Okay, so that's all I got for you guys right now. Hope you guys enjoyed this call here. I'll see you guys in chat, and like always, let's get that money.